Hola, muchachita. Estamos bien, gracias. Estoy buscando por los libros que tienen sobre hielo. Hola, estamos aquí en Puerto Rico in the bookstore Coqui in Rincon, Puerto Rico, and I found two really cool hockey books that I'm going to be reviewing for you guys. The first one is Sean Avery, Icecapades, a memoir of fast living and tough hockey. As you know, Sean Avery, number 16, famous player for the New York Rangers. And the second book, Hockey for Dummies, written by a very famous New York Ranger, John Davidson, who played goaltender for the New York Rangers, and he's obviously, you guys know him as a color commentator. He was also the last goalie to wear 00, and you didn't know. And also what's really cool is both these players played for the New York Rangers, who were the only NHL team to play as a home team in Puerto Rico in San Juan in 2006 against the Florida Panthers in a preseason game. So we're really excited. We're here in Puerto Rico. We found two hockey books that we're going to read and review. To be back with you here today, we're going to be reviewing Sean Avery, Icecapades, a memoir of fast living and tough hockey. Just finished it, and if you guys like fast living and tough hockey, this is the book. You're going to love to read it. I really enjoyed it. Avery takes us through his entire pro career, starting off with coming up through the minors, playing for the Detroit Red Wings team, that famous dynasty team that won the Stanley Cup. All those famous guys, talk stories about Brett Hall, Steve Yzerman, Chris Chelios. He even weaves in some stories here of guys he got to know, like Laird Hamilton, that he got to know through Chelios, which I thought was really cool. And then he ends up going out to LA, where his career really kind of took off, and he became known as a professional agitator and became a very valuable player in the league. From there, he was traded out to his dream team, which was the New York Rangers. And most people know Avery, number 16 for the New York Rangers. That's really what I remember most about him, was playing for that team at the Garden. The fans would chant his name, and it's something that obviously meant a lot to him because he wrote a lot about that in his book. Those are some of the things I really loved about hearing, was the stories that he wrote about living in New York City and playing for the Rangers. And then, shrewd move by Avery, he talked about, what his life was going to be like after hockey. A lot of people know he's got a very famous podcast. I'm a big fan of his show. This is something that he kind of dreamed up while he was playing in the NHL, and what he could do to grow his career away from the game. And he really did a lot to do that by living in New York City, and he was one of the first players to move downtown and to really become part of the nightclub scene and to get to know the fashion scene, and really worked hard to be that player. And it was cool to read that. We also learned about him talk intimate detail about some of the things he's very famous for. One of those things is that he was a intern at Vogue magazine while he was currently in the NHL, which was a really kind of a fascinating thing. I remember hearing about that. I was in the locker room in the minors hearing about Sean Avery being a Vogue intern, and I had no idea, no understanding of what he was doing. He explains a lot of that in here, and I thought that was really cool. He also touches on some of the things he became famous for that he wasn't so proud of, making the comment that he made about his girlfriend at the time, his famous Hollywood girlfriend. And he talks a lot about that, so if you're looking for the juicy behind the scenes stuff, you're gonna get that here. And another thing too that was he became famous for was the Sean Avery rule. And if you don't know, the Sean Avery rule is when he kind of shrewdly was the first player, instead of just standing with his back to the goalie, he turned around and faced Martin Brodeur, who, Hall of Fame Martin Brodeur, and Avery, being one of the top agitators, would study these guys, all their personal lives, and find things about them that he could use on the ice to get under their skin. He talked about the things that he would say to Brodeur, facing him in the net, waving his stick around, really doing what he could to be a distraction out there and create havoc. And it gives you a cool insight into all the things that he went through because of what he was doing, both on the ice and off. So yeah, love the book. I thought, if you're looking for a great hockey read, definitely check it out. Sean Avery, Icecapades. You're going to learn a lot about things you didn't know about, and I guarantee you're going to like this read. So good job, Sean, and enjoy. Wow, only in Puerto Rico would I find Hockey for Dummies. I didn't even know they had a Hockey for Dummies, but here it is, written by John Davidson. I found it in the Coqui Bookstore here in Rincon, part of the Dummies series, you guys might know. I read How to Start a Business for Dummies back in 2008, and now here we are with Hockey for Dummies. And I gotta be honest, as a hockey player, played my whole life, I wasn't sure what I was gonna get out of this book, but there is something valuable on every page, even for a player who's played his whole life. But if you're a casual fan and you just want to know about ice hockey, this is definitely a book I'm going to recommend to you as well. It's got so much information in here on all from the intricacies of the game, the penalties, the rules, It's also got a big history section where you're gonna learn a lot about how the game started and how it evolved to what it is today. You're gonna get tons of blurbs and tidbits from famous players like Wayne Gretzky. It's got famous actors. Mike Myers has some stuff in here. I learned a lot of stuff from this book, and I definitely recommend it. I enjoyed reading it. I even learned something about, when I was looking for the rules, about the penalty butt ending, which is relevant. And I did not know this, but in Quebec, butt ending is said donner 6 pouces, meaning to give 6 inches, which I thought was kind of hilarious. And the butt ending penalty is like this, and the ref goes like this. And I learned that from Hockey for Dummies. So obviously a lot to have in here. Definitely check it out. If you're a hockey player, gotta have this on your bookshelf.